We've decided that it's time to replace a door at your facility. Here are a few tips to help you get started. First, decide exactly what you will be replacing. Are you replacing just the door and plan to reuse your existing hardware? You can do it either way, but it's often best to replace both your door and hardware at the same time. That way you know that everything will fit, work together, and meet applicable building codes. Can you find any markings or labels on your door and frame? Labels are particularly important. This door and frame has a label indicating that it is classified as a 20-minute fire-rated opening, which is a code requirement. Other labels can list if the doors are rated for windstorm or smoke. That's very important from a life safety perspective and can result in fines or serious liability issues for the facility owner if not properly configured. It's also helpful to look for manufacturing tags or markings. Metal door manufacturers often tag their products on the top of the door, or as shown in this picture, inside the hinge pocket. Wood door manufacturers typically mark doors at the top, as shown here. These markings won't mean much to the facility manager or to the installer, but they might be able to help our customer service team match up exact specifications as you try to match the new door you are getting to the old door that you're replacing. Sometimes they get painted over or have become otherwise unreadable. No problem. We'll just work with what we have and take the necessary measurements that we need. First, we'll check the thickness of the door. This is easy enough to do with any good measuring tool. For this demonstration, we will use a simple tape measure. This door is 1 3/4 inch thick, which is the most common standard width for commercial wood and metal doors. Now that we have the thickness, next we will measure the width of the door. Since most doors are beveled, make sure to measure the door from the pull side. This will give the widest measurement. This door width measures exactly 35 3/4 inch wide. This is the proper door width for a 3-foot wide opening. It allows 1/8 inch clearance at each the hinge and lock edges of the door so that the door swings freely. Next, we'll measure the height. This one measures 83 1/4 inch, allowing for the same 1/8 inch clearance at the top of the door. This door has been undersized 3/4 of an inch. So, if you do the math, this door was prepared for finished flooring that was about 1/2 inch in thickness, with an 1/8 inch clearance both at the top and at the bottom. This is your typical 3-foot by 7-foot opening. So far, we've determined that we want to replace a door with a net size of 35 3/4 inch wide and 83 1/4 inch tall. That is 1 3/4 inch thick. And by the way, this one is a right-hand door. Handing doors can be confusing, particularly if you have worked with both residential and commercial openings. While standards can vary residentially, commercial doors have standards that are common to manufacturers, architects, and installers alike. This door swings into the office and the key is on the push side of the door, which makes sense. The door can be locked from the corridor side when the occupant leaves. Now we're inside this office and the latch side is on the right side as we face the door. So this is a right-hand door. So what about doors that swing out of a room instead of swinging in? This could be a corridor or a building exit door. It's a situation where the secure side or key side of the door is on the pull side. Here's a typical building exit door. This one has a panic exit device and closer. It leads out of the building, so the key side or secure side is on the outside. We call this a left-hand reverse opening. If you would see the door without any of the hardware or cutouts, you couldn't tell if it was to be a right-hand door swinging in or a left-hand reverse door swinging out. The correct designation depends on the traffic flow. Now, here's a view of the same opening from the outside. You can see that the latching mechanism is on the right side or pull side of the opening. So a right-hand reverse opening would be just the opposite of this one. Don't worry, Cook and Boardman will help to make sure you get the correct swing. Now we'll check the hinge, lock, and other cutouts on the existing frame so that we can be sure that the new door will match the existing frame. Let's start with the hinges. First thing to do is to measure the height and width of the hinges. The height of this hinge measures 4.5 inches, and the width of half the hinge, measured to the center of the hinge knuckle, is 2 1/4 inch. So doubling this measurement equals 4.5 inches. So this hinge is a 4.5 inch by 4.5 inch hinge. This is the most common size for most commercial grade hinges. Now we'll take the same kind of measurement for the lock side of the door. This frame has a strike plate that measures 4 7/8 inches. This is a standard strike plate for commercial frames. It is often referred to as an ASA or ANSI strike. If that is the strike on the existing frame, nothing else is needed. Remember, push-pull doors and doors with rim-type exit devices won't have any strike. Make sure to identify those as blank strike when ordering. Now, we need to identify the exact placement of the existing frame cutouts so that we can make sure that everything lines up correctly. Remember, we are measuring the frame, not the door. First, we will measure from the top of the frame to the top of the first hinge. This one measures 6 3/4 inches. Now, the second hinge, 39 3/4 inches. And the bottom hinge, 72 3/4 inches. Next, we will measure for the strike. Unlike measuring to the top of the cutout like we did with the hinge measurements, this time we'll measure to the center of the strike. This is called the center line measurement. This one is 42 3/16 inch. We've shown you the necessary measurements needed to replace a door. Here are a few additional tips that will help when taking those measurements. Sometimes buildings settle a bit, and because doors are intended to have a 1/8 inch clearance around the perimeter, it doesn't take much settling to cause a door to stick or to rub. Taking proper measurements will ensure that your new door operates well. So, measure your frame opening in several locations in both height and width. We'll measure the width at the top, center, and bottom. Next, measure the height at both the hinge and strike jambs. If it's a double opening, measure in the middle also. If all the measurements are the same, great. If not, remember to size your door to the smallest width and height dimensions. It's also a good idea to discuss this with one of our customer service representatives. Sometimes a new door can't compensate for a misaligned frame. It might be time to consider replacing the frame also.